So I'm going to tell you about the very earliest period. We need to learn about how babies learn. And to do that, I traveled to about 8 different countries all over the world. I had laboratories set up, and I was trying to understand how do babies acquire a language when they have to start with the sounds, the little units like the difference between pat and bat, the B and P. How do they hear those differences? Those are very fine millisecond level acoustic cues that computers have trouble with. And we invented a technique for measuring babies and what differences they could hear. So I'll show you a little movie. The baby's sitting on a mom's lap, and she's listening to a sound coming out of a loudspeaker like ah, ah, ah. And she learns, whenever it changes, she's got 3 seconds to turn her head in order to see a dancing toy. Let's see how she does.
Can a baby as young as 6 months old hear the difference between 2 vowels? This baby is trained to look for the toy when the sound changes. She's being distracted, so she'll turn only when she hears the difference in sounds. The key question, will she turn before the toy lights up?
Okay, so that's a baby genius, right? So what I learned is that all over the world, no matter what sounds from what language you're using, babies can discriminate all of the differences in all of the sounds used in all of the worlds, used in all of the languages all over the world. So they're citizens of the world at birth with regard to language. And the parents sitting behind them and the assistants sitting next to them and Bill Gates' computers cannot discern all those differences. As adults, we're language-bound listeners. We are able to hear the differences between the sounds in the language we were exposed to in our first 7 years of our critical period. So an interesting thing to ask then is, when do babies change from the citizens of the world they started as to the culture-bound listeners we are? And that also was a surprise. They do so by their first birthdays. So what you see here is the results of a study done in Seattle and in Tokyo. And we measured the babies on the ability to turn their heads when they heard rah, rah, rah change to la, la, la. And what we found is that 6 to 8 months, the Tokyo babies and the Seattle babies were totally equivalent, right at about 64% correct, way above chance. But that 2 months later, these two babies diverged dramatically. American kids got better at it, and Japanese babies got worse. Exactly what they should be doing to learn the language that they were learning, because the RL distinction is not important to Japanese, it's critical to English. And so what's happening during that 2-month period? This is a critical period with regard to the environment is making a change in the baby's brain.